In this video, I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I use and that you can use too to add your own personal spin on the borrowed content that you've sourced, whether that's from article directories or video sharing sites or from the multitude of public domain works that are available out there. So let's go to an example. Here we are at my blog, and what I've done here is taken an article from eZine Articles on how to solve common tomato growing problems, and I've taken the text of it and the attribution link, of course, and pasted it into the right post box in my WordPress blog. So that's as far as we got in the article directories video. So now it's up to me to kind of make it look nice and to add my own spin on it. So the first thing that we want to do is format the post attractively. And you'll see some of the things when you copy it directly, you get the title twice. We obviously don't want that. I'm going to copy the title and paste it in here. And then I'm going to get rid of it at the top. I'm also going to get rid of the byline here. And I'm going to paste it in the bottom. Saying by Jimmy Casperson. Jimmy Casperson is a tomato growing enthusiast. Visit his site for more expert advice. Article, I'm just going to change this to say author, and then I'm going to change this to say source. Alright, so now that looks better in terms of his attribution. It's still all included the way that eZine Articles wanted the attribution to go, and the way that this person wanted his links to go. However, it is not, it was kind of spread out a lot, so we're compacting that a little bit. All right, now I'm going to get rid of some of the content, like his introduction. And I'm going to also bold out some stuff just to make it stand out and look more attractive. So we're going to say blossom end rot and prevent and cure blossom end rot. And I'm just doing this so that it's more interesting to look at when readers do come to the page. And then we're going to talk about cracking and early blight is a fungal infestation. Weeds and mulches, most of the things can prevent. That's not really interesting, so I'm going to delete that as well. And then we are going to add an introduction. So let's introduce this post about the common tomato growing problems. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that we talk about here. So I'll write a short introduction letting people know that I found this article, and here's a recent article I found on the 4 most common problems you'll face when growing tomatoes. They consist of blossom end rot, cracking, and oh, there's only 3. 3, 3, 3. Let's change that up so that we're accurate. Blossom end rot, cracking, and early blight. Check out the piece below for details on how to spot each problem and how to cure or even prevent it from happening to your plants. All right, so that's an introduction. And then is our actual article, followed by his citation. And then we need a conclusion. So let's kind of conclude it by talking about the main solutions that this gentleman talked about. So lack of calcium is one of them. Lack of calcium, and having the correct amount of moisture in the soil. Cracking happens to uneven or irregular watering. Okay, uneven or irregular watering. And early blight, how does that happen? Is to clean the place. Okay, and a clean growing area are all keys to preventing your tomato garden from getting these diseases or unhealthy problems. And then I would also want to add a picture, because pictures always make things look better. So let's go over to Flickr. And this is Flickr's advanced search. We're looking for Creative Commons licensed content that can be used commercially, because I'm assuming that your sites will have some sort of advertising on them of some sort, whether it's product, your own product, AdSense, that kind of thing. Let's see if we can find Blossom End Rot, which I spelled wrong, so that's not going to help. If we could find a picture of that, that would be kind of cool. Ew. This person is wondering if they have blossom end rot. Okay. So we will download the photo to the desktop, save, and then we can upload it to the post by clicking the media button, choose a file. We want that picture of the blossom end rot. Upload. We'll give it a title, possible blossom end rot. No link. We're going to use a medium size because that's a bit too large, and insert it into the post. So there it is. And that'll add a nice visual to this post. Of course, you'll want to tag it and add categories, and then we would save it, and let's take a look at how that looks live. There it is. Looks delightful. And there is our citations as they wanted them to be, plus an introduction and a photo, some bolding and things like that to make the content flow a little bit easier. Another thing that you can do when you are publishing a longer piece like this, like a full article as opposed to just an excerpt, is to actually add headings in here. So I could say early blight, and then make it an H, whoops, not an underline, make it an H3. And then it will stand out a little bit more on our site. And it breaks up the content for people to read, which makes it easier for folks to read your content when it's broken up into sections. So you could use that to break up a longer article and make it more readable for your site visitors. Now let's go to a YouTube example. And you remember, where'd he go? You remember this guy. So in YouTube, first we want to format the post. Now the funny thing about WordPress is that a lot of times if you paste in the embed code from YouTube and then switch back over to the visual editor, it will actually delete your embed code. So I don't put in the embed code until the very, very end. So first we want to introduce our piece, just like we did in the article one. However, I do something a little bit different with videos that I want to show you here. And this is actually one of my biggest sort of secret weapons when I'm working with video at all, and that could be a video that I posted on one of my own sites because I think that my readers would enjoy it. But in particular, this tip will increase your readers' engagement with the video. So in any situation where you want to increase your viewers' engagement with a video, use this technique. It works really, really, really well. And in particular, I like to use it when I want people to watch a sales video. So I might actually send something like this out in an email to people saying, hey, check out this video. you'll find out this, 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 and this. And what I do is actually watch the video myself, and then I take notes on the content that's in the video and at what place in the video that content is. So I've done that for this gentleman's video, WebCajun's video. And here's what I've come up with. Let me copy it, and I'll just paste it in here. Insert. We'll get rid of that stuff. And as you can see, what I've done is taken notes on exactly what we've got here at 125. He talks about making big tomato cages. At 359, he talks about, or he shows his crop and the varieties that he grows. At 550, he talks about replacing smaller tomato cages with a bigger one. 714, installing PVC watering tubes. 737, cleaning those PVC watering tubes, and his special gift at the end of a ginormous Coors Light that he got from Lucy, who I think is supposed to be his dog. Not sure. Anyway, so when somebody sees this, sometimes they'll sit down to a video and say, oh, you know, I don't know if I really want to watch this. Do I have the time? Do I want to commit to a 10-minute video? It seems silly, but that's the way that people's minds work. When you give them an outline, as opposed to just this, if I were to write a sentence that says, hey, this guy WebCajun's got a really great video on how to make big tomato cages and how to water them. Some people would watch, some people wouldn't. You know, that's sort of vague. And I mean, you know, you can only be so specific when you're describing a video in a paragraph type of format without just transcribing the video, basically. Once you start getting too detailed, people might as well not watch the video. So you do this because it lets people know that where they're going to find the content that they're interested in. So they could skip ahead, of course, if they want to. But it also lets them know once you start at 125, you also have something really great coming up at 359. Then you've got something that you want to see at 550, and so on and so forth. So it creates some sort of anticipation about what they're going to be watching and makes them not want to miss it and see what it's all about. So this is a technique that you absolutely must be using if you do anything with video, whether it's publishing video like this on your site or if you're email marketing it all to people, you can use this technique as well. But we still want to give it a quick introduction. So WebCajun is a true character, but I loved his video on replacing smaller tomato cages with big ones for your massive plants so much I wanted to share it with you here. With all the modern talk of upside down tomato plants, container growing tomatoes, and indoor tomato growing, sometimes it's refreshing to see a guy like this who's growing big old plants right in the dirt. Alright, so obviously I correct my spelling. I'm not going to make you watch that. And then we're going to have a conclusion. And because I've written quite a bit already in terms of both my introduction and then my actual list here of the times and the items that you'll find, I'm not going to have a massive conclusion, so I'm going to say something like, I hope you enjoyed WebCajun and his tomatoes as much as I did. Okay, and then we need a title for this post. Growing, no, tomato cages, upgrading, let's say upgrading to bigger tomato cages. All right, that looks good. And then we need to put our embed code in here. So let's get it from YouTube. And we'll go over to HTML. And then I'm going to put it in there. We'll save the draft. And then once that's loaded, we can preview the post and see how it looks. Come on, video. Alright, it's in the HTML. No, now it's gone. So annoying how WordPress does this. Anyway, if you see this happening on your site, fret not. Don't worry. Because it does happen to other folks as well. It's not just you. So now let's preview it again. And hopefully the video will come through this time. There it is. There's my introduction. There's my times, and there is WebCajun and his big old tomato plants with their big old cages. All right, next one, we've got the Project Gutenberg example. We took some content from this book on tomato growing, and we've pasted it in our site. Now, just like an article, since this is a bit of a longer piece, we will want to do some formatting to make it more attractive to the reader. Also, in older books like this, you'll see, as they've done here, sometimes the paragraphs are rather long, and for web readers, that isn't the easiest way to read content. So you may also want to break up the paragraphs a little bit so that it is easier for folks to read. So let's go through that process here. In any case, more fruit can be grown on the acre. That's good to know. More fruit can be grown on the acre on pruned and staked plants. All right. Let's underline that as well. That's good to know. Because more of them can be gotten on an acre, and it's an advantage. Staking and pruning used to be almost a universal practice in the South, in the North, in the South. The plant is then tied up. Alright, we'll break up this paragraph there. We'll break up this paragraph here. And it is especially important that any shoots springing from the fruit cluster be removed as early as possible. All right. So we've got some bolding. Now let's give it a pruning. We'll put that in an H3. And we'll do this Y, stake, and prune tomatoes. We'll give that an H3 as well. And then we talk about how to stake tomatoes. We'll give that an H3. Now, because Project Gutenberg works are in the public domain, you don't have to link back to them. However, it's dishonest, and it's not a good idea to try to pass this work off as your own. So in this case, we still want to do an introduction. And what's the name of the book? Tomato Culture. So we'll do a quick introduction talking about how this is some old-timer information. I found oh, we need to change that back to paragraph. Now, since this is a book, this would be a really good piece to do a weekly feature on or something like that. And you could just have it be a regular series. Obviously, I can't publish the whole book at once. That wouldn't be of use to my readers. And instead, you could publish a section of it from time to time. So I'm going to assume that this, say, maybe is the first in a series, and I'm introducing it and letting people know that there will be more posts to come. There are some real gems of information about classic organic tomato growing that I want to share with you from the book, and I'll be posting excerpts once per week. I hope you enjoy them as they're published. All right, and then for a piece like this, you could end it, because this is some of these things are still absolutely relevant today, but some of the things that they're talking about may be a little bit outdated. So I could pick out one of those things and talk about how things are done differently now. So I'm going to add a separator in here so that people can see that we've stopped with the book itself and now it's me talking again. And let's see, we can talk about pruning. I'm just going to assume that pruning is done differently now. I really have no idea. This isn't a topic of my expertise, as we know by now. But let's say that that's the case. So pruning is so much more meticulous and scientific now. Sometimes I yearn for the old times when life was simpler, but then I wouldn't have as bumper a crop as I do each year. What do you think? This is a way to invite comments to your site. What do you think? Do you prune the traditional way, or do you opt for more modern techniques? All right, so I've invited some commentary. Now, in this and in other Project Gutenberg books, you'll also see that sometimes there'll be a reference to a certain figure. And in this case, they referenced figure 21. So let's go take a peek and see if we can find that figure. We're at 17, 20. There's figure 21. Save image. And then we can actually add that to our post. So we'll do that. And where did it go? There it is. We'll upload it. And it was single steak tomatoes. No link, insert into post. We'll align it left this time, sure. And there it is. As in, and then we'll change this to say as seen in the accompanying image. And then there's also a reference to figure 22, so I would probably include that image as well. So we will save the draft, and then let's have a preview and see how it looks. Whitest steak and prune tomatoes, some bolding, some images, H3, some more bolding, my conclusion. Looks great. So that's what we do with our Project Gutenberg or public domain works. And with these tips, you can really take any borrowed content and make it your own and give your audience your unique perspective to keep you in the forefront as a market leader by being not only the person who creates some really great content yourself, but by being the source for fantastic content that they wouldn't have found elsewhere, and you add your own unique twist to it too.